try to think of a few. All right, can I just talk plays before I get back to one more last thing about movies? Like 10 years ago, you're talking 1999, The Weir, and you win awards. I mean, the Laurence Olivier Award for Best Play and all that. You get amazing stuff written about you in papers from abroad, from New York, the man, whatever his name is, the big, huge... I told you he didn't turn it off. That's his fault. I asked him to turn off my phone. I don't know how to turn it off.
Just take it.
I know what this is going to be. No, I won't take it. I know what it's going to be. Bring home bread and milk. I don't know how to turn this off. I'm really sorry. I don't know how to... Because I got a text earlier on saying that. I don't know how to do it. I'm sorry. Conor, yeah, what was it? Oh yeah, so you win these awards, you get fantastic reviews, like really good reviews. Some of them, wait a minute, there's one brilliant one, which is, it's fantastic. Oh damn, I had it here. Which is somebody in the Telegraph in London or something. She was kind of went, Shakespeare, forget him. We've got Conor McPherson, that kind of stuff, literally. Okay, let's get the guy then from the Telegraph, finest dramatist of his generation. Ben Brantley, is that his name for the New York Times, the Port Authority, and everything else that you've done. He thinks you're the greatest thing ever. Is that good? Is that any kind of indication? Is it any kind of justification? Do you go to bed and start out saying, good, somebody who really knows, likes it, or does it matter?
Well, the main thing is that it's not a bad review. And that's... But that's it. You're kind of like going, well, because you sort of do something, you work really hard on it, and you're working with people on it. You all believe it has to work on some level. So you're not expecting for people to come and hate it. You wouldn't present it otherwise. So when you do get bad reviews, you really remember them. They really sting and they really hurt. And you sort of, like poor Krista Berg there last week,
Tisms.
Yeah, but in a funny way, you have to wonder, like, everybody knows what Krista Berg does. You know what he does. His fans love him. Oh, right. But why does a critic go and sort of say he's terrible? So the thing is, you're kind of going, well, you don't want that because it's very painful. So when someone just says it's good, you go, okay, great, that's good, that's fine. And then you're just hoping that you're not going to get a bad one. The problem with that kind of the finest dramatist and all that, that's not something that you can... Like, I don't feel that way at all. Like, I feel like I struggle, and I feel like it's really hard, and I feel like I don't know often if we're getting there, if we're not, and you're hoping it's going to be good, but every time you do something, you're absolutely starting again. You're starting from scratch. Yeah. You're always starting again, and I still feel like I'm really only learning. Like I've learned a few things now, but every time I do something, I'm still just learning.
And is it painful, writing?
It's painful in the sense that you have this beautiful idea in your head and you think, this could be, I could get, but of course, Woody Allen can't watch any of his films, and I really understand that, because he says, I had this wonderful idea, and then I started writing it down, and it's not quite what I thought, but yeah, it's kind of what I was going to do. Then I start to cast it, and it's not quite the person that I wanted, but okay, and then I'm going to shoot it. This is not quite the location I wanted. He says by the time he sort of hurt the film and stabbed it with all these cuts, but he can't watch the film at the end, and in a sense they drain you and they take everything out of you because you have this sort of beautiful vision. So as soon as I'm finished one thing, I'm always thinking about the next thing. It's always you think the good one is always just about to happen. The Beatles, apparently, whenever they were recording a song, they had this in-joke where someone would go, I think this could be the big one. And, you always are thinking, even if it doesn't necessarily have to be big, but you always think, somehow I feel like if I can put something of my soul into it, something of really totally what I feel about being alive, if there's some spark of that in there, I've done it, and then I can move on. But it's really hard to do. Like, I'm not saying
but what about the getting it back from an audience then, as opposed to critics? For instance, like, what do you call it? The Eclipse, Tribeca, a few critics are there and talking about it. And then you met the audience afterwards. Mm. And they all talked to you in terms of, I don't know, an interpretation that they might have got that you wouldn't have even thought of necessarily. All up and all thumbs up, etc. So it was the good experience that you had that day. But it was like, wow, I never thought of any of that, or I didn't know that. Like, do you suddenly deliver this baby and it doesn't belong to you anymore, is what I'm saying? Does somebody else own it once it's out there?
Yeah, it has to.
And then you move on, you don't even see it again.
You have to give it over. You have to, because you'd go mad. You'd be walking around thinking about the same thing for 20 years. You can't possibly do that. You have to move on. But in a sense, like you were asking me about demons or getting rid of demons stuff, yeah. It is like everything you do. It's like an exorcism of what's been preoccupying you for a long time, and you just you get it out and move on. I suppose it's like a fault line in the earth. Like the lava is coming up through the fault line. It's your cracks where all this stuff is coming from. It's the stuff you can't resolve that's always going to keep coming back. So in a funny way, you have to kind of allow yourself to forgive your dysfunction, because that's where the interesting stuff comes from, you know. It's not I don't have a utopian vision of the world that I'm trying to create. I'm writing about simply the predicament of being alive, which is often very confusing.
And in that writing then, in a different way what I said earlier, do you suffer for your art, Conor? I get the impression you really do. You sweat it all out of you. I mean, like, do you have a bucket beside you or a basket beside you that's full of rolled up pieces of paper going, no, it's spilling out?
No, not particularly, not like that, but like anybody who does their job.
Well, we're talking rewrite.
Oh, yes, definitely. Really? And that's why I direct my own plays, because once I get into rehearsal, I feel I can start to really finish it, because I can see what the actors are doing, and I go, we don't need this bit. I can cut it immediately. If you're working with a director and you go, I think we should cut this bit, they'll go, oh, no, we'll make this work. And you're going, we'll never make this work. And you're at the opening night going, this bit never worked, you know. So that's what I do. But like anybody who's doing their job, you're trying to be conscientious and do your job to your best of your ability. But it's often it's hard. But you're just trying to do your best. But it is tough.
Do you have a sounding board thing? Like, I mean, a lot of bands make their own albums and then they finally get a producer in. Because sometimes it's good. Like, let's say they spend 5 days doing a song, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But the producer might be there saying, look, it's fine after 5 days. And like, it's good to have somebody to, not so much even twiddle the nose, but just to tell people to shut up and move on. Like, get a life.
Yeah.
God, no, you mean?
No, well, you've got... The only person you can really make your work for ultimately is yourself.
Hold on a second now. Really?
You have to get it to your satisfaction. If someone's telling you that's fine, and you're going,
I'm not saying a glib that's fine. Wait, that's not what I'm saying.
I would be a total perfectionist, which is why I abandon my work and I can't go and like if someone said to me, Conor, your play is on in Berlin, let's all go and see it. I go, that to me is a nightmare. I don't want to see my play there. I really don't care if I ever see it again. I just want to move on to the next thing, which I know I can control. I can't control that because it's over. It's gone. So it's just a never-ending cycle of doom.
All right, okay, that answers that. By the way, has anybody got any questions? Anybody else want to say something or ask something or has seen his play and hated something? Yeah, there's one at the very back in the white shirt.
There was an article in the Irish Times a couple of weeks ago about how your generation of McDonough and all the rest, and it's just referring to how nowadays there doesn't seem to be any kind of new group of a new generation of writers. And I'm just wondering what's your comment on that? Is this because of there isn't the money to produce the plays, or I'm just wondering why there isn't a...
It could be. I think that unfortunately Ireland, which is one of its greatest assets, has always been its writers. That doesn't get resourced at all, and very few new plays get produced by our theatres. We have very few theatres, and now with the recession, the arts will continue to be slashed. I went to London, put my plays on there. That's what I had to do. I'm sure younger people coming up will probably do that as well. But I always say that talent looks after itself. If it is a real talent, like often when I'm doing auditions or something like that, when an actor comes into the room who you've never seen, and if they have it, it's so obvious. It won't be missed. And even if they're not right for the part we're looking for, you know that person will probably go on and do well. And if someone has a talent, it usually will come out eventually somewhere. But unfortunately in Ireland, it's just a pity that we seem to have, I suppose maybe come back to the alcohol thing too, we have a very, we're very self-conscious, we have quite a bleak view of ourselves. Like American people have this sort of enormous confidence about, you know, hey, how you doing? What are you, hey, this is great, I've got my play on, it's on Broadway, it's fantastic. Like an Irish person, you go, what a fucking dick, right? Whereas we kind of go immediately, it's like, how's it going? Is your plan? Yeah, it's going on, you know, and is it doing well? It's doing well. So we sort of have that terrible sort of Catholic, you know, bash down thing, which is, I don't know, a post-colonial hangover, trauma, post-traumatic stress. We're only a couple of generations away from the famine. I mean, I used to think that was all bollocks. I used to think, no, come on, like, we're people, we can do whatever we want. But as I've got older, I've begun to see that Irish people do have a sort of a self-destruct button somewhere, unfortunately. It's, you know, it's a pity.